speaker, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson?
Got lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's coming on a little better.
Thank you.
I thank you for the introduction. And well, due to the honor allowed me to be in this position today, I would like to express the congratulations of the community to our royalty, the King and Queen, Mr. and Mrs. Gedney. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope, as near as I can tell, Old Settlers Day started out as a Civil War veterans reunion and was changed to the Old Settlers Homecoming Association in 1912 and has been called Old Settlers Day since, and has been held every year for the next 72 years. Now, every year, for speakers, they have had doctors, lawyers, merchants, and chiefs of all kinds. Today, you have a prodigal son who has returned home.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I hope you are not expecting a polished speech like you'll be bombarded with on TV and radio for the next 2 months. But when elections are over, maybe you'll appreciate more mundane things like talking about how good people really are, especially our friends and neighbors, and where we came
Test.
from,
1, 2, Dave.
where we have been, and where we are going. I firmly believe in the capacity of the people of Smith County to cope with anything that would upset their desire for a good life.
Test. 1, 2.
Ruth and I left Smith County in 1949 and have lived in 3 different communities. We have never seen the feeling the inhabitants of Smith County have for their roots, unless it was the Russian immigrants descended of Ellis County. We were gone for almost 35 years, but always got back home 2 or 3 times a year. Now today, we are amazed at the reasoning of the early day settlers of the county to move to a place that didn't even have a house for them to move into. When my grandfather homesteaded in 1871, he selected a place that had a good spring and a high straight creek bank. The reason for the creek bank was that it was a handy place to dig a dugout for him and his team of horses to spend the first winter. Now, when he got his homestead, it was the first home anyone in his family had ever owned. I expect that was the case of most of the other homesteaders, and they just decided there was no place to go but up. I believe that is pretty good philosophy for Smith County. They sure needed it during the Great Depression, grasshopper invasions, droughts, cyclones, wars, and low farm prices. There have been many changes take place during our lives. Some of them make us sad to see. To drive through the countryside and see all the abandoned home sites certainly goes against the grain. I can remember when there was a family on most quarter sections. There was a schoolhouse about every 2 or 3 miles, and a small village about 5 or 10 miles apart, and a baseball diamond in somebody's pasture in every community. Some of the bases were material that would surprise you. We made lots of errors on ground balls, but we had ball teams. Another change is the weather forecast. If you didn't know when the moon was going to change, it was almost impossible to forecast the next rain. I think the same I think the sure way to tell when it was going to be a drought year was by the sunspots, whatever they are. Then the jet stream controlled the weather, and now some people think the outer space invasion of man-made objects are affecting the weather. It seems to me our weather forecasts have only one way to go, and that is up. I believe the old-timers of the county were more inclined to find answers for their problems and not depend on government to solve all problems. Then, most of the telephone systems were locally owned, and if the lines went down, it was up to the people to fix them. If the roads were blocked with snow, they shoveled the road clear so they'd go town. If one of their neighbors needed help in sickness or other disaster, there was no one to help but the people of the community, and they sure did. I would like to mention one good Samaritan I knew. It was Vilma Hornsby's dad. I think Russell Sheets sat up more nights with sick neighbors, helped harvest more crops for his friends who were in trouble than any person I ever knew, and he never got a government grant for it. Now, it'd be almost impossible to talk football with any man between the ages of 60 and 75 that went to Smith Center High School without him telling about Coach Conger. I don't know if Conger was the greatest coach that ever lived, but he sure made you think football. One year, we had 101 boys suited up. Some of them only weighed about 90 pounds, but I'll guarantee there weren't enough boys left to march in the band. And that lasted until the school asked for popular subscription to get fancy uniforms for the band. Now, I have talked a lot about where we have been and where we are going, and it gets so tiresome to hear how bad things are today. I don't think they would want to give up their TVs and electricity, automobiles, tractors, and combines with air-conditioned cabs if they had to go back 100 years and start over again. Neither would they wouldn't want to trade the combine for the old header barge, or a tractor with a front-end loader for a pitchfork, or a hydraulic dump truck for a scoop shovel. We all know that farm communities are not as prosperous as some of the other industries of the nation, but like an old saying we had in the oil fields, when trouble would happen, there is no way to go but up, and I think Smith County will come out on top. I thank you.
I know we did, and we should. But nobody heard it. Well, let's do it. What do you say? And you brought that, and you're going to go that way. I know it.
You got a big one.
Because I think you got to have both. I would never have thought of it, but we had Catherine Waters. We walked home to get her, and he was coming back home. She said,
Old boy said the other day, you must be a freak or something. You can't hold a job very long.
Getting out. We come from there up here. Well, Kansas City.
Let's give a hand for Nancy. Kind of steer down the volleyball. And everything. Track, okay, track. Okay, she'll be out for track in the spring, and this way she'll still be able, we won't mess anything up. So the trophy, as I understand, goes to Mary Atkins. Now, I don't know if Mary's here because she's a band director, she may be down. All her volleyball girls beat her, so she must have paid everybody off. Yeah, I see her going down with everybody out with cars. She is a band director, she will receive the trophy in the overall women's winner in the 1 mile run. Now for the 5 mile run. In the 0 to 19-year-old division, we had no entry.